Okay, to get started, my name is Denver Lee Harris. What I'm going to try to help you guys with today is to understand why we struggle to let go of relationships. And this, if you understand this, this will also help you while you're in relationships to have a healthy relationship, okay? This is from personal experience. This came to me through my own personal experience where I had trouble letting go of a relationship. She moved on, and I felt I loved her so much I could not let go. I was struggling, man, and I tried everything. I tried everything. I tried to hate her. I didn't want to like her because that would help me not to want to be with her. It would help me not to have pain. So this is going to, what I'm going to do is try to help you understand why we have that pain. And what we got here, I'm going to tell you real quick how to read charts. I'm going to put a value on this. When a line comes down through here, as it goes up, then whatever this value is, I'm going to reveal to you, increases, and it increases this way. This is how you read graphs, okay? So here's what those lines represent. This is the love line. I'll get out of the way. That's the love line. And this line here is conditions of potential pain. Okay? The higher the line goes up, the more potential pain and more conditions we put on a relationship. Okay? So for example, I'm going to get my notes out so I don't skip anything too. Now this might seem technical, but when you actually see it, when you're done, hopefully you're like me. I stood back and was like, wow, this is cool. I'll make sure I get all my notes here. All right, so what we got here, conditions and potential pain in a relationship, they're synchronistic. They run together, okay? And the reason is because a condition is an expectation. You're putting an expectation on your partner, okay? You have certain expectation on it. Anytime you set expectations, you set a potential for pain. Because if your partner doesn't keep that expectation, then you feel betrayed. You feel hurt, right? So that's what causes our pain. Eckhart Tolle says pain is a resistance to what is. And if you think about that, that's true. When you accept whatever's coming at you, even not in relationships, if you accept, you say it is what it is, and you really accept that, you don't feel pain. The pain is, I don't want this to be like this. That's where you get pain. So an expectation and conditions will give you a potential pain. Now, the best kind of love is unconditional love, obviously, because there's no conditions. But I'm not trying to say in this whole thing what kind of relationship you should have and that there should not be conditions. There are reasons for conditions, and we'll get to that. So when we fall in love, this is kind of what happens. We meet somebody, we're attracted to them, and we start moving down the love line, we start falling in love. Then, as we start falling in love, we start putting conditions What's when you start falling in love and start dating somebody? Can anybody think of a condition? Like one of the first conditions you start expecting from somebody else when you start dating somebody. Anybody? Respect, honesty. How about let's date exclusively? Let's date exclusively. Expectation number one. I don't want you don't date anybody else. I don't date anybody else. Okay? We just set a potential for pain. Because if we find out that they continue to date someone else, then we're hurt, right? They betrayed us. So, and this continues, the more we fall in love, the more expectations we put on the relationship, the more conditions, okay? So we start falling even more in love, and next one might be, hey, I don't think it's appropriate you hang around with your ex as much as you do. I don't like that. Hey, you need to be not quite so friendly with the opposite sex. Again, I'm not judging these conditions, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have them. It's up to you. Just know that when you start putting conditions on a relationship, you get a potential pain. Okay? So what we do all our life, we start to fall in love. We come down here, we say, hey, how about you just date exclusively? Hey, how about you just not hang around with your ex so much? Hey, how about you start being appropriate with other sexes? And so we start putting these conditions. Well, let's say the relationship then goes its own way, it falls apart. Then what do? This is what I tried to do. We try to back it back down. We try to back our love off, right? We try to get back to ground zero where we don't love them anymore. Because that's where the pain is. How many of you guys ever said, my problem is I love them too much? You ever heard that? You guys ever said that to yourself? I love them too much. That's what I said. I was always hurting. So our relationship historically kind of looks like this. Over our whole life, an average person kind of does this. Okay? That's chaos. And that's how our love life usually is, right? Chaos. We start falling in love, set conditions, it doesn't work. We try to back down the love. I mean, not very many people, when I tell people I'm friends with most of my exes, even one of my exes is a best friend, they're shocked. They're absolutely stunned. And that's because that's not the norm. Because this is what people do. They try to back the love back off so they don't feel pain. Because if they continue to love them, they're going to feel pain. So, what happens is we hit a wall. There's this dividing line. We hit this wall. And most people who are like up here, if you ask them about their relationship, I promise you they will tell you, yes, I love my partner unconditionally. Unconditionally. Think about that word. That means no conditions. And I would bet almost nobody on earth loves their partners unconditionally. There's always conditions. There's arguably the open relationship people, right? Right? You can go with who you want, be intimate with who you want. And I'm not advocating that kind of relationship. Again, I'm not advocating any type of relationship. That's up to you to decide what you want. But I can say an open relationship has less potential pain. I mean, you can see that. So what happened was I was stuck here in this hurting over my relationship. I couldn't get out. I was praying and I was trying to hate her. I couldn't hate her. And I was stuck over here. And what God showed me was that this area that we love in normally, this is the realm of the ego. Okay? What an ego is the false self, the avatar, who we think we are. Because we're really a spirit being, and this is from my philosophy. Yours might be different, and that's okay. But I come from philosophy where there's just God, we're all one, and we're spirit. That's who we really are. We split ourselves up into little personalities, and we come here and willingly shed all the knowledge of who we are so that we can create our lives, so we can experience different things, namely the things that are opposite of who our of our essence. So our essence is to be love, but we come here in ego where we can experience hatred. And why would we do that? Well, one time I was under this nice warm toasty blanket, just really enjoying it, and my spirit interrupts me a lot of times when I'm doing stuff like this. It says, why is that so enjoyable? Because it feels good. It's nice and toasty, secure. But why is it toasty and secure? Because I don't want to, it's cold outside the blanket. Right. So don't curse the cold, because you can't be warm and toasty without the cold. Right? You can't be warm and toasty without the cold. The cold embrace everything. So even though the realm of ego is the opposite of the essence of who we are, and often brings us pain, it's to be embraced because it helps us see how wonderful we really are, how wonderful love is, how wonderful the Spirit is. In the realm of the ego allows us to do that. And my Spirit's saying, if you don't believe that the cold is a blessing for you to be able to feel warmth, try this again this summer when it's hot. Get under the blanket and see if you think it's nice and cozy and toasty. So I'm having my conversation. Here's the problem with this. The reason why we have a problem over in the ego is because we have a fear of loss. When our partner moves on and we can't let go, their number one fear of that is loss. We've lost something. We love them very much. They're very important to us. And we feel this big hole in our life. It's a fear of loss. And the reason why we feel loss is because the illusion of separation. Here in the realm of ego, we have the illusion that we are separate. And the ego gets to experience separation by us being physical bodies. But when we're in spirit, when we're one, we're not separate. And there's no fear of loss. So God is telling me, so I'm sitting here wondering why I can't let go. I'm trying to hate her. I'm trying to let go of this relationship. I was at a loss. And I said, the problem is I love her too much. That's why I have this pain. I was wrong. I didn't have the pain because I loved her too much. I had the pain because I didn't love her enough. Think about that. I didn't love her enough. Now that's counter to the teaching of ego, to the realm of ego. Okay? Because we feel that we're having this pain because we love too deeply. But it's not that we love too deeply, it's that we don't love enough. The reason why we don't love enough is because we need to break through this wall and break out of the realm of ego, because the ego is the type of love that requires something. Ego requires something in return. That's why we put conditions on the relationship. Why do you know your partner loves me? Because they do this or that. If they didn't do this or that, they don't love me. And that's not true. A lot of times that's not true. I'll give you an example. I was helping this woman who her husband cheated on her. She's going to get divorced. She was very hurt, very angry. And this is what ego will do. Ego will tell you that I'm advocating a certain thing that I'm not. So you have to be open-minded here and hear the whole thing. So she felt that he didn't love her. I loved him then and he didn't love me because he cheated on me. So I was like, okay, so he doesn't love you because he cheated on you. And she said, yeah, if he loved me, he would not do that. Okay, so I asked her, I said, well, did he lie about it? Was he hiding it? She goes, yeah. Well, why was he hiding it? Well, there's a lot of reasons. He doesn't want to lose her is the main thing. Well, why doesn't he want to lose you if he doesn't love you? So you see, things aren't always the way it is on the surface. It doesn't mean if someone cheats on you, and I'm not advocating cheating, it doesn't mean that they don't love you. That's what we tell ourselves because we're hurting. And we had that condition that if they loved us, they would not cheat on us. And that's not true. There's a lot of people that cheat on a relationship that love their partner. And part of the lying is not to hurt them. Again, I'm not trying to make a cheater out to be a saint or that he shouldn't do these things or that it's okay for him to do these things. It's not okay. He had an agreement. So I had to love her more is what God told me, okay? Well, my ego told me if I love her more, then I'm going to hurt more. That doesn't make sense. How does it even make sense? Well, God reminded me when I was in martial arts, and I had to break through boards on my test. I had to punch them, I had to kick through them. And they got thicker and thicker as I advanced. Anybody here do martial arts? Ever done them? Did you ever break boards for tests? What's one of the secrets of breaking a board? Mental, right? Right, formulas, which is what we're dealing with right now, the way we think. What else? How do you go through it? Counter and punch as hard as you can, right? So what does your mind tell you when someone tells you, punch this board as hard as you can? It tells you that that's going to be painful. That's going to hurt. Well, I did my test, and I got all psyched up, and it's like, okay, punch as hard as you can, punch as hard as you can. My mind says, no, it's going to hurt, it's going to hurt. My instructor says, no, it'll hurt if you don't punch as hard as you can, punch as hard as you can. So I'm getting all psyched up, and I go to do it, and in that first millisecond, I was all in. But after that, my brain says, no, hold back, pow, hurt like hell. Hurt my hand. I didn't want to go back and do it again. My instructor said, do it again, punch it harder. And again, my brain's saying, doofus, punch it harder? Come on. It hurt like hell. It's going to hurt worse. It's the same thing. Same thing with this. That with our chart, getting through that wall, love harder, not less. Love harder. It's the same thing. How many believe that you can look at the physical world and you can look at how things happen and you can parallel it to God's nature and how things work spiritually, right? Why are all these wonderful things like Buddha and all these parables, be as the tree in the wind, right? So we can look at these things. These are physical examples of the nature of God. Well, when you've got to punch through something really tough, it hurts if you pull back, if you're not all in. And when you love, it hurts if you're not all in. It hurts, even though your mind will tell you that's where the pain comes from, loving too much. You're endangering yourself. You're setting yourself up for hurt. And going back to that woman who wanted to get a divorce, I said, I talked to her about it. She told me before, I said, you said he had a problem being alone. She said, yeah, he had I knew this was going to happen because this is the first time in our 10 years we've been alone. He moved for a job for a while. He was gone for 4 months. And I was worried about this because he has a fear of being alone. So I figured there's a danger of him getting another relationship. Well, that's exactly what happened. Again, not justifying cheating, but there's different perspectives to things. She said, he's making me get this divorce. How is it? So he wants a divorce? No, he don't want it. He's making, I said, well, how is he making you? Because he cheated on me. No. Let's get the words right. You're getting a divorce because you're choosing to get a divorce. He's not making you. He wants to keep the relationship, which means he loves you. Now, let's go back to, he was afraid of being alone. She knew this. And they didn't get counseling for it. They didn't work on it. He had a problem. So, again, not trying to justify cheating. But when you look at it and understand that a guy has a big fear and he has a problem, and this is how he handles it, and you know about that problem, maybe you could, if you love him, maybe you could be merciful and sympathetic to that. So not everything's the way it seems. So love harder will break through to the realm of the soul. There's a point where we can stop loving. We hit this wall with ego love. We can only love so much with our ego. It hits a wall. Then we have to learn how to love divinely. Divinely. And people, they'll tell you, God's love is unconditional love. Everybody knows that. Everybody agrees that no matter what you do, God will love you. That is true unconditional love. Ego love has its limits. Again, I'm not dogging out ego love. Ego love has its purpose. And it's okay to love in ego. But just know that there's consequences and know what you're dealing with and understand why you feel the way you feel. Like why it's hard to let go of relationships when your limit is ego love. We all should be working on this, doing our soul work when we're in relationships and especially when we're not. Learn to love unconditionally. So what's this mean? He can go out, my partner should be allowed to go out and cheat and I should just endure it? No, that's not what it means. Although, if that's what you choose to do, that's pretty remarkable. That's pretty. I would say that's pretty remarkable unconditional love if you can still love your partner when they do that. How about consider this for unconditional love? Instead of your partner cheating just because he wants to, or she wants to, maybe they're trying to fix something in themselves. Maybe they're trying to quench something. Maybe they're trying to quench some pain in themselves. Not justifying cheating. I have to keep saying that because I've taught this a lot and I get that a lot. It's not okay to cheat. But if you want to love unconditionally, you have to look at different perspectives. And in having a different perspective, that not only helps your partner, it helps your relationship and it helps you. So this is the realm of the soul. Okay? In the realm of the soul, that's where unconditional love is. And when there's no unconditional love, there's no potential of pain. I don't think we can get here being human. I don't think we can get here. Maybe we can. Probably some masters up in the mountains that have meditated for 50 years and got to a place's end. Maybe they're there. I don't know. It's a difficult place to be. And we can't even be sure we want to be here. Because you know what? We'll be here soon enough. Okay? It's called death. We'll be here. But right now we're here. So we don't have to get here. And we don't have to do this. But just know that if you want unconditional love, if you want to be able to let go, if you want to know unconditional love, you have to go beyond the ego, the false self of who we are. So, and the reason why this works. Remember we talked about separation? Fear of loss is separation. This is oneness. Okay? Think about this. The best example of this is a mother and a child. Okay? Consider a healthy mother-child relationship. A mother loves their children unconditionally. They can go out and do something horrendous, and they won't they won't justify what they do, but they still love them. And to me, part of that is that they actually were physically one at one time. They actually have a physical example of being one. Okay? So we are trying to get there in our love relationships. Think about what happens when a child grows up and goes off. The mother is still loves that child. And what happens when a kid says, "Oh man, I got the best job in the world. I got married. I found love." The mom is happy, even though the child had left. They left her. Because why? Because they have their own path. And they know that. And mom still loves them and knows that they have their own path. And mom is there loving everything that they love in their life. She loves. She's happy for them because of that oneness. That's the best example of oneness that we have. So, this is a pretty simple, instead of being all chaotic, what we want to do if we want to not experience pain. I told you, I titled this How to Let Go, which I realized was a mistake, okay? Because it's not how to let go, it's just understand why it's difficult to let go. It's okay if we don't know how yet, because that's part of the human experience. That's why we have these things. The best way to go through life is not to consider anything a problem. It's to embrace everything and know that, see things as a challenge or opportunity, not as a problem. Because when something's a problem, you expect consequences. But when something's a challenge, you look for ways to defeat it. When something's an opportunity, you look for the benefits. So always look at everything, even the pain of a loss of a relationship. Look at it as an opportunity to know something about yourself, an opportunity to grow. And know that there's the possibility, there's a way that you can love your partner that's moved on. You can love them so much that you'll actually be happy that they found happiness in another relationship. I agree it's difficult. It's very, very difficult. And there's a lot of different ways to get there, but and no one can tell you that. It's like I can't tell you I do, because that's why it's your path. The path in our life, it's like death. It's our path and only our path. People are along the way on the sides, but they are not in our path. Our path is our path alone. And your way to figure this out on how to let go of a painful relationship, that's a part of your process. It's a part of your path. No one can tell you. I coach. I help people figure it out for themselves. I'm very careful not to say you need to. If anybody counsels you and you hear things like you need to, right away, that's a problem. Because you don't need to do anything. Okay? You only should do what you feel you need to do, what you need to do. And that's a big problem with relationships, why we have a lot of relationship problems, because each one's looking at the other one saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. I see that all the time. And the very first thing I have to do is separate them and get them to say, forget him, think about you, forget her, let's deal with you. Okay? You got to work on yourself. Life is about your path and working on you. And have you ever heard the phrase, it's all about you? That's what it is. And that's like a negative connotation, right? But no, life is about you. It is. Everything. Somebody's hateful to you, somebody's mean to you. Not saying they shouldn't be. That's not what that means. But it means that there's something in your path, there's something about your path that person is along the way. What is it? What is it? Why is this person being this way? Sometimes we put ourselves in that situation. We need to set our boundaries with people. There's a lot of different ways. There's so many things in the path that we need to learn. So just know that it's all about you. The pain that you feel, it isn't what your partner did to you. Your partner did something that they needed to do for themselves. Okay? They did something they felt they needed for themselves. And ultimate unconditional love would allow that, would allow them to do that. So it doesn't mean you have to put up with a partner that cheats, that you can't have a relationship where you have an agreement that you're monogamous, for example. What it means is when you make a decision, let's say you have a partner that keeps cheating. There's a difference between being pissed off, like the chart showed at the beginning, and wanting to not love them anymore and hate them to try to disconnect. There's a difference between that and saying, you know what, this is your path. You feel like you need to sleep with other people and cheat and whatever. That's your path. I don't know why, but I can't judge that. I just know it's not what I want from my life. There's a big difference. Imagine that. Because when you get a relationship like that stays together, imagine this. Imagine a relationship where two people come together every day because they want to. That's it. They want to. Not because he knows he'll lose his pension. If he don't come home to me, he's going to lose his pension. I will take him for everything. You want somebody to come home to you because of that? Like, I feel like I need to move on, but everything I worked for all my life will be gone, so take it from me. Come on. And it's okay. Look, if you want to be that way, it's okay. Again, there's no judgment for that either. But the question is, do you want to experience higher love? Thank you. Do you want to experience higher love? That's the question. What do you want for your life? Because it's about you. So, allow others to be who they are. You be who you are. And if it matches up, it matches up. It's awesome. You don't have to worry about them cheating anymore because they're coming home to you because they want to. And if they decide to move on, you ain't got a problem with that either, because not that you won't miss them, don't get me wrong, but the closer you get to true unconditional divine love, the more you'll be like, I'm sad, I'm going to miss you, and we had a great thing, but if you feel you need to be with someone else, or you feel someone else is in your future, God bless you. I hope it works out for you. Because that also, you got to realize that means for you, there's someone else for you too. There's someone else for you. You don't want to be mismatched. So, that's my presentation. Any questions? No questions? You guys you get this? Yeah. Yes, good question. That's how you get there. How do you get there? Okay, well, I can't tell you specifics on how you get there. However, this is your soul work. Most people that are here now are doing their soul work. That's why you're here. That is what will help you get there. And again, it's about you. How do you not to feel that pain of someone leaving a relationship or hurting you? Well, you release them of what they feel they need to do, and you do your soul work, and you worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. And the hardest thing about this, ego, the most difficult thing about this is the ego is always going to tell you, just like it tries to tell you you're going to hurt your hand if you punch that board too hard. You're going to hurt your emotions more if you love harder. The ego will tell you that that's an excuse. You're letting them off the hook. You're just letting them off. You're not holding them accountable. Well, who are you to hold somebody accountable? Who are you to hold somebody accountable? We have one life. This is our life here. I mean, arguably, we may come back. I don't know. But we're here during this time for a short period of time. It's ours. How would we ever have the right to lock somebody into something that they feel they don't want anymore, or to act in a way that's not them. It's not up to us to make people be a certain way or hold people accountable. It's up to us to decide if it works for us. Our path in life, our soul, does this work for us? Yes or no? No, it doesn't. That's why I'm single. I've been single a while, and that's why. It's not because I'm judging. It's not because I don't feel anybody's good enough for me. I look at it and say, well, you know, there's these memes on Facebook. It's really funny. It's like, this could be us. It's got a picture of two souls. This could be us, but your pineal gland is calcified. That's the kind of person I am. That's who I am. There's another meme. It's a hilarious cartoon. This guy's sitting at a speed dating table. He said, "Is your pineal gland calcified?" She goes, "My what?" He goes, "Next." I mean, that's me. That's how I am. I mean, it's difficult as I've had my spiritual growth. It's difficult to find somebody. I don't always want to be a teacher. I want somebody to wow me sometimes, to tell me, hey, you're being very, your ego's very strong in this. Maybe you should consider this. I want to be able to say, wow, you're right. That's the kind of partner I'm looking for. But so all these people that I reject as my life partner, I'm not judging them. They can be who they want to be. I just get to decide if they're for me or not. So, any other questions? Did you guys think you learned anything? Yes. Okay. Well, right. Well, okay. No. And that's what you're doing when I say you have to decide if the relationship's for you. That's what you're doing. That's love for yourself. See, because you're focused on yourself. You're saying, is this relationship for me? And it doesn't have nothing to do with him. It has something to do with you. Is this the path you're heading? So that's love for self, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a good point too. This is why we need to do soul work and love ourselves, because we will sacrifice this short time on earth being in a relationship that is not optimum for us because we didn't do our soul work. Whoa! Oh. Must have been. That's the Holy Ghost Spirit coming through here.